Book 22, The Magic Key, the Printing Press. It was a miserable, rainy afternoon, and Mia and Toby were bored. They were sitting in the living room with Barnaby, their golden retriever, who was fast asleep on the rug. Mia was flicking through her favorite brightly colored superhero comic book, whilst Toby was staring out the window at the endless grey puddles. Suddenly, the wooden box on the shelf began to hum. The shiny brass key inside was glowing with a brilliant pulsing magic light. "The magic key is glowing," shouted Toby excitedly. Barnaby woke up with a start and began to bark as a swirling vortex of sparkling colours swept them all up and whisked them away. The spinning tunnel of magic dumped them onto a hard wooden floor. They had landed inside a dark, dusty workshop filled with strange smells of oil and black ink. Massive wooden machines with heavy levers and large metal screws filled the room. "Where are we?" whispered Mia, brushing dust off her trousers. A tall man with ink-stained hands and a thick beard was staring at them in astonishment. "Who are you? How did you get into my workshop?" he asked in a booming voice. Mia noticed a calendar on the wall with the year 1440 written on it. They were in Germany in the workshop of Johannes Gutenberg. "I am trying to perfect my new invention," Mr. Gutenberg explained proudly, showing them a heavy wooden frame filled with tiny metal pieces. "It is a printing press. It will allow us to make many books quickly instead of copying them out by hand with a feather pen, but it is very difficult work." Toby leaned in to look at the metal pieces, but as he did, his backpack slipped off his shoulder. Out tumbled Mia's superhero comic book. It landed right on the wooden floor with a loud smack, its bright glossy pages falling wide open for everyone to see. Mr. Gutenberg picked up the comic book, his eyes wide with shock. He had never seen such perfectly printed pictures or such vibrant colors in his entire life. "What sorcery is this?" he gasped, turning the pages with trembling fingers. "This is impossible for any human to create. This must be dark magic." "No, it's just a comic book," said Mia frantically. But it was too late. One of Gutenberg's assistants had seen the colorful pages and run out into the cobblestone street, shouting at the top of his lungs about witches and magical books. A large crowd of angry townspeople gathered outside the workshop. They were banging on the heavy wooden doors and shouting furiously. They had never seen anything like the comic book, and in 1440 anything people didn't understand frightened them terribly. "We have to hide," cried Toby, grabbing Barnaby by the collar. Mr. Gutenberg, who was more curious than angry, pointed to a large pile of blank paper in the corner. The children quickly scrambled behind it, trying to keep Barnaby from barking. The wooden doors burst open, and the angry crowd poured into the workshop. "Where are the magical children?" they demanded. Searching under the heavy wooden tables and behind the metal machines, Barnaby whimpered quietly as heavy boots stomped right past their hiding spot. Mia accidentally nudged a large pot of black ink. It tipped over and spilled all across the floor, splashing onto the shoes of a very grumpy-looking man in the crowd. "There they are," he yelled, pointing furiously behind the pile of paper. The crowd surged forward. Mia and Toby were trapped in the corner of the workshop with nowhere left to run. The townspeople looked very cross, and the children were terrified. They had never been in such a scary situation before. The grumpy man stepped closer, reaching out to grab Toby's jumper. Barnaby growled bravely, standing in front of the children to protect them. The townspeople raised their lanterns, their shadows stretching across the high wooden ceiling of the workshop. Just as the grumpy man lunged forward, a bright, familiar light burst from Toby's pocket. The magic key was glowing. It glowed brighter and brighter, lighting up the entire dark workshop with a dazzling warm golden shine that made the crowd gasp. The angry townspeople stepped back, covering their eyes from the brilliant light. The magic vortex of sparkling colors reappeared, wrapping warmly around Mia, Toby, and Barnaby. In a flash, the workshop, the printing press, and the angry crowd vanished completely. The children landed with a soft bump back on the rug in their own living room. The rain was still pattering against the window, and everything looked exactly as they had left it. The glowing key slowly faded back to its normal brass color. Mia checked her backpack, but her superhero comic book was gone. "Do you think Mr. Gutenberg will be all right?" she asked. Toby smiled as Barnaby went back to sleep. "I think we just gave him some excellent inspiration for his printing press," he replied.